Welcome everyone, welcome. Is the first live show of this genre, so please, just join, and then if you have any questions about credit and credit, in general, or management of credit, let me know. So let's try to. If we just wait a few moments for our friends and colleagues to arrive. Meanwhile, yes, let's see how this show will go on. Yes, let's see. Okay, let's just see now. Who do we have here joining online? And I may have to look at my notes that I wrote earlier on. So please bear that in mind as well. Okay, let's see now. Right, so so I can start now, and then if whoever has joined late, they can watch it in its the show in its entirety afterwards. Okay, so in regards to, for example, as we're talking about credit, what is credit score and how to build a credit score? So in essence, building a good credit score, also known as a credit rating, can affect your ability to borrow money or to get products such as credit cards. You can check your credit score for free, usually online, and if it's not great, you can improve your credit score. And as you may know, but just to cover the aspect of the credit score, what is a credit score? Your credit score is created from information held in your credit report, also known as the credit file. Your credit score can differ between lenders or even between different products or services from the same lender. It depends on the criteria used in assessing you as a potential customer. The information held on your credit file and your credit application form might be used to decide whether to lend any money or credit, as is known to you, how much to let how much to let you borrow from them, and how much interest to charge you, for example. The most recent information on your file will have the most impact. This is because lenders will be more interested in your credit financial situation. That said, this is important as well, your financial decisions, good or bad, from the last 6 to 7 years, I would say, will still be on record. So after 7 years, your oldest and let's say credit history will drop from your credit file. That's why it's known to be of that fact. So maximum 7 years, but some credit file like records drop off your credit file after 6 years. So yeah, and that's why. So if your credit report shows a few missed payments, you might be charged a higher interest by the lenders, or you might not be eligible for any loans at all, or credit cards. So credit cards and loans, you can say they're kind of very similar, because again, a credit card gives a line of credit to you as a customer. So in a way, it is like a loan, because you have to pay back. So in that case, just think of a credit card as a loan, not as a freebie. Okay. One other thing is, So sorry if you just are joining. Please put your comments in the box below, and I'll answer it. Well, I made some notes, so I'll just go through it while you have a burning question. So if your credit report shows a few missed payments, you might be charged higher interest by lenders, or you might not be eligible for some loans, or nothing at all. This is because lenders believe there might be that you might be using a higher risk when lending to others. For example, you have a credit card of £1,200 as an example. So it's called credit. Try to utilize your credit, not for the full. So it means don't max out your credit. Let's say you're given £1,200 or dollars or any amount. Don't just max out your credit card. That it looks like to the bank or any institution that you're financially stressed, which is not good at all for you or your credit file or your credit future, for which is your credit file. Yeah. So welcome everyone. Welcome. If you're just joining me, please put down your questions, and I'll try to answer it about credit management or credit in general. Yeah. And I've got some notes written here, so I'll go through it. And if you have any burning questions, yeah, please feel free to to ask me, and I'll answer you. So yeah, one other thing is very good idea actually to check your report often. Let's say once a week. Well, I even do every day, but that's fine. Remember, checking your credit file is not gonna hurt your credit report or credit file. It's even better actually. But doing too many, but applying for too many credit in one, let's say, week, that will hurt your credit file. So just bear that in mind while we're on the topic. So just make sure you check your credit report as often as possible, as it can help you spot any fraudulent activity or mistakes on it. And the question is, for example, how can I check my credit score? There are three main credit scoring agencies in the UK. These are Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. They all hold information on you which lenders use. One key information about those three credit agencies is, for example, if Experian reports that you have 700 points in scores, Equifax may say you have 600 or 500 points, and TransUnion may say you have 800. That's because each of the agencies use their own, the what's it called, the structure, as in they use their own so the criteria they use differs, and the for example, Experian will say 700 points is poor. However, TransUnion will say 700 is excellent, if that makes sense. Yes. Yeah. So when they hold in the information about you, and then the lenders can use that information, that is very critical to know. So even small errors can cause problems. So it's very important that you check through your credit report. It's best to check them each of them at least once a year, but I would say every week or every month. And that one thing is with Experian, you can get 1 month free trial to view your whole report, and I mean that not just the basic credit file report, but all of your list up to date. So that's a good one. I recommend that. Okay. So I think it's best if you set up a reminder if you want to improve your credit file or credit score, to view your credit report on a regular basis, not daily, but still, yeah. So yeah, that's what I was saying before. Like, some memberships might give you access to companies that can look into your file, but remember to set up a reminder to cancel your membership if you're on a free trial, as you don't want to pay the monthly subscription when it ends, unless you want to. Okay, so I get this question all the time. What is a good credit score? Well, like I was saying before, different lenders have their own standards of credit scores. However, if you have a good score with one of the main credit reporting agencies, it's most likely that you'll have a good credit score with the other lenders. So, for example, as I was saying before, a good credit score with TransUnion is between 781 out of 781 and 850. Equifax is over 420 out of 700. Experian is over 880 and 999. But be aware, because that your credit score doesn't guarantee that you'll be approved for credit or offered the lowest interest rates. And yeah, the interesting is that this is because a lender's decision is not made solely on the score. That because they have their own criteria as well. So for example, if you're looking for a card or a loan and avoid that you might be rejected, it's a good place to start your search. And some companies, some credit card or other providers, they may do soft searches. You may see this in the past. For example, you're on a let's say a credit card company's website. They say if you want to do a soft search which doesn't impact your credit rating score, which means you can see if you are likely to be accepted for that credit card. And so even if you don't get accepted, it will not leave a marker, let's say a footprint of the search in the credit file. Whereas a hard search, it's called a hard search, will if the hard search leaves a like if you're not accepted for it, it will leave a negative marker on your credit file more often than not. Yes. So so another question I've been asked, how long will it take to improve my credit score? So this, in general, credit history is built up slowly over time. So I would just say it just depends on the credit scoring company. Some may report an update every week, some every month, usually between 1 month and let's say between 4 weeks and 8 weeks. So you just have to play around to see which one reports more frequently, but you can't change the time scale. So yeah, for example, so the longer so the thing is, if you have a credit card which is you use it very well, you don't max out your credit card, and you pay your credit card on time and in full if possible, that would be a plus, which is good. Okay, so your credit rating will increase over time, and you want that. You want your credit rating to increase. It will look good to other lenders, of course. So the longer the bill, so that's another thing. The longer the bill goes unpaid, the more likely it is to affect your credit score. See what I'm saying? So just make sure to keep a close eye on your credit score to help spot any issues. So most negative marks will remain on your file for at least 6 years, as I was saying before. After that, everything is deleted from your file. This includes, well, as you know, missed payments. Try not to have a missed payment, defaults, and bankruptcy and CCJs, county court judgments. However, there's some quick improvements that you can make to begin improving your credit score. So again, another frequent question I've been asked is, how can I improve my credit score? Well, if you have a low credit score rating, there are several things you can do to improve it. Number one, and most important thing is, register on the electoral roll. You see, if your name is not on the electoral roll, you'll find it much harder, if not impossible, to get any credit at all. So just go to the gov.uk website if you live in the UK to register online or by post. That's free as well, so you might as well just do it. And then again, like I was mentioning before, just check for mistakes on your credit file. That's very simple to do online, and you can usually contact by email or messaging with a credit file application The credit agencies that have any markers that from lenders, you can just tell them, I'm sorry, I think there's a mistake on the file, and they will hopefully liaise with the lenders to correct the mistake, so that's another way. And like I was saying before, just pay your bills on time, please. Okay, paying, for example, a phone bill or internet contract on time is a great way to prove to lenders that you can manage your finances. And again, check if you're linked to another person. If you have a spouse, a friend, or a family member's credit rating linked to yours through a joint account, could and does affect your personal rating if they have a poor score. If they have a good score, that will increase your credit rating, which is good. Okay, so like the saying goes, try to shop around. Let's say you have a spouse or a friend that you want to be financially linked, but make sure that person has a good and a high credit rating, so that will pass on to you as well. But again, if that person has an off day, off month, whatever, then your credit rating will drop, so be careful. Okay, so and also, like I was saying before, check for fraudulent activity on your credit file. If something on your credit card is wrong, as I was saying before, or doesn't apply to you, contact the the credit reference agency, like I mentioned, to have the file updated. Okay, county court judgments, or better known as CCJs. So receiving any county court judgments for debt will seriously affect your credit score, and it does. If you're having any problems keeping up with repayments, just contact your Citizens Advice Bureau or other advice centers, which should be free as well, because if you can't afford to, if you have county court judgments, so that means you can't afford it. Okay. One other thing is high levels of existing debt, and by that I mean, ideally you should really pay off any outstanding debt before applying for a new credit card. This is because primarily banks, building societies, and credit card companies might be hesitant and about lending you more if you already have lots of debt. So again, one other thing is moving home a lot. If you tend to move your home, your main place of residence, let's say every year, for example, year after year, or even like shorter period of that is bad news for your credit rating. I'm sorry, because lenders feel more comfortable if they see that you've lived at one address for a considerable period of time. For example, I would say more than 5 years, ideally. If more longer, that's preferable. For example, 10 years. That will show on your credit file that you are a trustworthy person. You don't hop on from place to place. Okay. And one other subject I was saying about, keep your credit utilization very low. Okay. So I didn't mention this but I'll just quickly run through it. So your credit utilization is how much of your available credit limit you use. For example, if you have a credit limit of £2,000 and you use £1,000 of that, your credit utilization is 50%. So you're not so using half of your credit. So you're using half of your credit limit. Usually, using less of your available credit will be seen positively by lenders and will increase your credit score. If possible, try to keep your credit score utilization at 25% or lower. But I would say, this is fine for most people. But let's say you're buying, you're paying a bill on your credit card, and your bill is £400, and you have £1,000. Well, if you just make sure to pay that bill on time and in full, then that's fine, before your due date of your credit card. Okay. So then but then again, if you're struggling to improve your credit score, it might be worth signing up to 1 month free trial, like I was mentioning before. by the main by using the main credit reference agencies. So then you may ask me, what information is in a credit report? And like I alluded this previously, each credit agency holds different or slightly different information about you. So it's worth checking on all three of them to get a more accurate picture. In general, as you may know, your file will include your name, address, and date of birth, some search footprints on your file, such as credit applications, financial links to other people, as I've mentioned before, for a joint loan or a joint bank account. And again, this is where we're getting into the interesting parts. For example, any late and missed payments or defaults, which is again bad news. Try not to have any late payments at all. Like I was saying, please try to pay your credit cards or any loans on time and before the deadline. Okay, just allow at least, I think, 3 to 5 working days for the payment to clear. One other thing you will there's more that it will your credit file will include is how much money you owe to lenders, to all lenders, because believe me, that the saying goes, if, let's say, I don't know, Bank A will see what you're borrowing from Bank B, and vice versa, and so on. So, and then it will also contain if you have any county court judgment or CCJs against you that weren't paid in full within 1 month of receiving the invoice. And again, as I was saying before, if you're on the electoral register as your current address, that's good as well. If you've been declared bankrupt or entered into an IVA is an individual voluntary agreement. It's an agreement or arrangement, okay? But this is where the interesting thing is. You may not know this. So your credit file or credit report will not include your salary, your student loans, your medical history, criminal record, council tax arrears, parking or driving fines, which is interesting. So, however, you might be asked for this information when applying for a loan or a credit card contract. They might then choose to use this information alongside your credit report to assess you. So if you have a poor credit history, you might want to consider a credit builder credit card. By that I mean, for example, if you search on the internet, for example on DuckDuckGo, it's a search engine called DuckDuckGo. Just search for credit building credit card, and for example, you may have if they accept you, they may give you a credit score of £200 or £300. That is just so that they can see how you will spend that credit of that you've been afforded to. For example, if you pay your credit card in full, on time, and every month on time, and so on, hopefully in about 5 to 6 months you can apply for a credit increase, unless they increase it for you. So they're designed, so this credit building credit cards, they're designed for people with little or bad credit history, of course. Okay, the credit limits are often low, as I said, and the thing is high. Okay, the credit history is high. If it's so, using these cards and paying off the bills each month. I'm just moving the iPad, sorry. By using these cards and paying off each bill each month, you can prove you're credit worthy. Okay, so that means you're trustworthy. This will increase your credit score over time, like I was saying. When your credit rating improves, you can apply for other cards and loans. Be aware that the interest rates charged are much higher than standard credit cards, though. Otherwise, you might end up in a debt that you struggle to get out of, and this could harm your credit rating more. So only spend what you can So again, just very briefly, again, if you have a credit card, let's say of £1,000, it doesn't mean you have to spend all £1,000 or dollars. Just be comfortable in your spending as you would on a debit card. Don't max out again. Okay, I reiterate this several times because it's very important. Because one, like I was saying before, it will show that you are in a financial strain, which is bad news for your credit score. Okay, just moving the iPad. Sorry. And the other thing is, if you spend far higher on your credit card, you may not be able to pay it off in full every month. So just bear that in mind. A credit card is not free money. Okay, treat it as cash. Treat it as the debit card with no overdraft facility. So credit card doesn't mean it's free. Okay, you have to pay it back, as I'm sure you know. So avoid expensive credit card repair companies, because there is not such thing as that. You either have a credit card that is a credit building credit card, like I mentioned. So never pay for any companies to build your credit file. That is wrong. Okay, don't pay. Okay, because you might see adverts from firms that claim to repair your credit rating. That is false. Don't do that. Do not do that. So because most simply advise you to see your credit file and improve your credit rating, but you don't need to pay for that. Okay, you can do that for yourself, like I mentioned before. And if you're just joining me, you can watch this show in entirety afterwards. Let's see. Some might even claim that they can do things that legally they can't. Okay, like I mentioned. Or they encourage you to lie to the credit reference agency. Again, if you lie to the credit reference agencies, it will leave a fraud marker on your file. So that's not good an idea to do. Okay, I think we have a question from Sosi. Hi, Sosi. Is it good to have many credit cards even if you don't use them? That's a very good question, Sosi. So my answer to that is, again, let's say you have, I don't know, 5 credit cards, but each credit card, let's say, has £1,000 or $1,000, whatever, each. Yes. And so in effect, yes. Yeah. Okay. In effect, yes, it is good to have it, but don't max out on each of them. Okay. Don't max out each of your credit cards. But for example, let's say, again, like I'm saying, let's say I have £1,000 on each of the 5. The limit is £1,000 credit limit on each of the five credit cards. For example, I would spend just a bit on it on each of the credit cards, not a lot. Okay, and also make sure to pay it off in full and on time before the due date. Bearing in mind you have to have at least, well, I would say, pay off your credit card minimum 5 working days prior to the due date of the credit card that you're talking about. Okay, so yes, it is good to have many credit cards even if you don't use them, but I would say just try to use them, otherwise they may close that credit card account. Okay, credit cards companies have been known to close credit card accounts of, they call it like idle accounts, because it actually costs them to have a credit file, which is a credit file which in your name. So because they don't make any money from your transactions. And if you want, I could just quickly explain why. I think everyone knows why, but I'll just quickly cover that as well. So in essence, what it is, okay, imagine you're using, let's say, credit bank ABC, whatever the name is. You're going to, I don't know, Walmart, for example. You're spending $30, for example, again, dollars. So you don't pay for the transaction, but the transaction is paid by the by the retailer or the company. So for example, you spend $30. So, but let's say Walmart in that example will be paying will be charged by your credit card company $30 plus whatever percentage it is for credit card fee. Okay, so for example, they may instead of being charged $30, they may be charged $33, which includes £3 processing fee. Yeah, so again. So that's what I was saying. If you don't use your credit card, they don't. Even if you don't, even if you pay your bill on time, the credit card companies make money from each transaction, and the bigger transaction value it is, the more the credit card companies make out of you. So try to spend your credit cards somewhat. Buy a coffee or tea, like £1, $1 or $3, whatever, yeah. So I mean, so yeah, just try to make sure your credit cards are not closed by the credit card companies, because that's never a good idea, because that will have a negative bump on your credit file, and you don't want to do that, especially if you want to improve your credit file rating. Okay, so I think there was a question I had emailed. Someone emailed me yesterday, or late yesterday. I'm just gonna read through it, and what do I respond to? Yeah, yeah. So the question was how to report and fix any mistakes on your file. Okay, so again, like I was saying before, if you spot any mistakes on your credit file or credit report, just make sure to report to the credit reference agency. So you go via the credit reference agency, report it to the credit reference agency, and they will report to the company directly. That's my choice, and then I will recommend that you do that as well. So you don't report the inaccuracy to the company who you have issues with, or who you see that made like a wrong, like a mistaken report about you. Just report it to the credit file agency, okay, like Equifax, Experian, or Credit Union in the UK. So that those are the three in the UK. Okay, right. So the agency has 28 days to remove the information or to tell you why they don't agree with you. Again, so for example, you see, I don't know, it says that you haven't repaid your credit card in this case. Okay, then but you paid it off. Yeah, so you have to report it, and just make sure to have proof. Okay, proof that you paid your credit card, just in case there's mistakes, and then the credit card agency doesn't want to remove it. Okay. So during the 28 days that the mistake will be marked as disputed. Okay, and any lenders they aren't allowed to rely on it when assessing your credit rating, just because you have disputed the inaccurate information on your file. We have a question again. Okay, so the question is, if I don't use the cards, do I still get a good credit rating, credit score, and what impact does it have? Okay, so it's similar to the other question I think you had. That's what I was saying. Just try to use each of your cards. Just small purchase, for example, just do a small purchase on each of the card and pay it off in full. Okay, no quibble about it. For example, if it's pounds or dollars, whatever, spend £5 or dollars or any other currency. I mean your own currency. I'll come to that later on. But just spend £5 or equivalent, whatever currency you're using, and pay it off in full. And just make sure your available credit is utilized. Okay. Right. So one other thing was, so I'm just sorry. Just what I answered to the person from last night is about the how to remove any mistakes on your file. Okay. Um, so I'm just going to move this. Okay, right, okay. So again, it's best to speak to the credit file agency. Yes, it does. It does. Well, sorry. The question was, does this apply to credit lines? Well, credit line. Do you mean loans or credit cards? And while you do that, while you answer that, I will read on from the response I gave. Yeah, so it's best to speak to the credit provider you believe that is responsible for the incorrect entry through the through the credit agency. Yeah. So does this apply to loans? I believe so, but again, let's say you borrowed, I don't know, £5,000. Let's say. Make sure you stick to the agreed payment plan if you have a payment plan, and pay on time every month. Okay, and if you have so that's it. So if you don't use your loans, well, then it doesn't impact you, I guess. I'm not really sure about loans, but just I'm just saying that it's always best to utilize your credit lines, as it's called. So like a credit card and a credit like a loan is considered as a credit line. Okay. So going back to the point that so credit reference agencies will rely on this provide information and provide it to lenders. Okay. Okay, so if there's information on your file that's accurate but doesn't reflect you on your current situation, for example, you go into debt problems when you lost your job, but you're back into work now, okay, you can add a notice of correction to your credit report. Again, it's called notice of correction, okay? So this is a statement of up to 200 words about what happened to you in a recent thing, okay? So find out about correcting personal information. In the UK, you contact the Information Commissioner's Office, and if you just use the search engine, DuckDuckGo, there's one search engine I recommend, but others are available. Just search for the ICO, or Information Commissioner's Office. Yeah. Now, suppose that how do you recover from credit fraud? Okay, if you've been an unlucky victim of identity impersonation or credit fraud, or there's so many different names, your credit score might have taken a hit. Well, it usually does. Okay, because the lenders don't know that you've been a victim unless you inform the credit reference agencies. Okay. So that's why your credit file rating or your report will take a drop down. It's, big. It's a no-no. So you don't want, of course, you don't want to be a victim of credit fraud or any other fraud. Okay. So the question is, how can you improve your score after being a victim of credit fraud? Okay. And this is how it is. If you've been a victim by any means. So when you check your credit file, keep an eye out for the CIFAS marker. So I'll spell that to you: C for Charlie, I for India, F for Freddy, A for Alpha, S for Sierra. CIFAS. Okay. So if you see a CIFAS marker called victim of impersonation notice, having this on your file warns future lenders that you have been a victim of fraud, or are vulnerable becoming a victim of fraud. Okay. A CIFAS marker is put on your file by a lender who has felt that there has been an attempt at fraud using your identity. They are legally obliged to report this. This fraud marker, as you can call it a CIFAS marker, will stay on your file for 13 months or longer. Usually it's between 13 months and 5 years, but the maximum is 7 years, and after the 7 years, like I was saying before, it will drop from your file. If you can't remove it for any reason, it will drop from your file. Okay, right. So having this marker doesn't affect your credit score. Well, I would say it does, because it just depends on your credit history. If you have a good credit history already, it will drop somewhat, I would say. Okay, but if you have already a low score, it wouldn't impact a lot, which is very confusing, but I know. So so it doesn't stop you from taking out a credit, but it may, however, cause you to have some issues if you're applying for credit that is processed automatically, like a store finance. Okay, this is because your file will need to be reviewed and checked manually. Okay, so so in essence, just make sure you are in good standing with your loans and credit cards, which are also, I would say, also same loans, because a credit card is not free money. Okay, so you have to pay that off as well. Okay, so someone was asking. I have a few emails from yesterday, and I'm just reading through what did I ask? What did they ask me? So, for example, if you have someone going to university, if you receive your maintenance loans or other awards or means tested funding at the beginning of each term, it can seem a lot of money, of course, but making it last for both the academic year and holidays can be quite a stretch. So yeah, if you have any other questions, just feel free to ask away. Any other questions at all whatsoever, anything about money. Okay, all right. So it's a good idea to work out a budget based on the money you have coming in and out regularly, which also applies to day-to-day life as well, not just in uni. Firstly, add up your total income. For example, maintenance loans, income from a job, bursaries, scholarships, awards or grants, money from parents or family, any savings or investments. Once you have this, you can say on a sheet of paper, you can calculate your expenses, food and drink, any bills, yes, gas, electricity, water bills, internet, TV license, etc., etc. This list is exhaustive. Well, other important things for any but especially in unis, is accommodation fees such as rent and insurance for valuables. Okay, travel costs including fuel, maintenance, and insurance if you drive. Yeah. But make sure that your income is either more than or equal to your outgoing expenses. Well, that's just the classic things, Just in anything in life, when you have a job, let's say, I don't know, £2,000 a month, for example. Make sure you don't overspend it and rely on credit. Don't rely on credit if you don't have the money, because that's a bad thing to do. Okay. Only afford to borrow, which again, a credit card you borrow from the financial institution. Only borrow and only spend, only spend on a credit card limit what you know you can afford to pay back within a set period of time. It's mentioned in your statement. Okay, so just be wise, credit wise. So just be wise about your credit. Okay. So one of the things is, I was asked, what if I share accommodation? So just that is probably easier. So you just make sure you share the bills as well, and make sure that bills are handled fairly and are paid on time. Again, contact your provider if there's might be a late payment, as it could damage your credit rating. And again, don't damage your credit rating untoward. Okay. Or ability to access credit in the future. And at this point, can we just I'm just gonna try to share the live feed for others who want to join. Bear with me. Is there bear with me? Oh, it's a bad joke here. Let me just quickly share. And if you enjoy this, please share to others. Okay, and that's very much appreciated. Okay, let's get back to the topic. Okay, hi Linda, welcome. Okay, right. So now what I was saying is, so someone said, help, I'm spending more than I'm earning. Well, that's a bad thing, isn't it? So of course it's a common thing, faced by thousands of students, and not just students, everyone, and if you can, the thing is, just increase your spending. I know it's easy to say, just apply for a better job, or increase your income, increase your income so you can pay off your spending. Okay, so this depends on your study schedule. If you are at university, taking on part-time work would and could make a big difference to your budget. Speak to an advisor. Your university or college should have a money advisor. I'm just changing the thing here. Sorry. Would have a money advisor or support services that can help you to manage your money. And I would say this is the top thing in any part of life. Reduce your spending. Okay, don't forget, a credit line, a credit card is no excuse to overspend. Okay, so try to reduce your spending. Okay, and your expenses. Look for what you're spending money on. Okay, are there any areas that you could cut down on? Swapping branded products for supermarket own brands, sharing meal costs could save you money. Consider borrowing, but again, borrow with consideration. I mean, that's that, so don't over borrow. Okay, tried everything else, yeah? Okay, consider borrowing options such as an authorized interest-free overdraft or a credit card that might have come with a student account. Only ever borrow again what you need and what you can afford to repay. And then it comes about maintenance loans can be used to cover your living costs. However, what you're entitled to is based upon where you live and the location of your university or college. Depending on which nation you're in and the student finance agency that applies to you, there might be also other means-tested grants and funding available. You don't usually have to repay grants or bursaries, but you only be eligible for them if you meet the certain criteria, and that'll be probably explained, hopefully. So then the other thing is shop smart with student discounts. This is true. There's a lot of great discounts available to students in shops, restaurants, transport, and more. But you don't just use it as a reason to spend money the things that you don't need, which is true. Welcome. If you have any questions about any money issues in general, ask away in the comments. But currently, I'm just reading what I answered one question from last night by email. Okay. So don't use discounts as a way of spending more than you need to. Okay, shop smart. Okay. Thing is, so for example, part-time work. Once you worked out your budget, you'll see if you take out a part-time loan, part-time work is a good idea. So this is for while you're in as a student in a university or college. So this could be during the work or holidays or term time, but you don't need to neglect your studies. Research shows, it is true, that more than 20 hours of work a week can have a negative impact on academic performance, and you don't want to do that. So if you're aiming for a job during term time, try to find a good work and study balance. Okay, and here's some good tips that I said. Make a shopping list before setting off, and stick to it. Which is, I think we've all done it. We either had a shopping list and went over it, or I myself have even done this in the past. I had a shopping list at home, I left it at home, and then went on a shopping spree. That's not a good idea at all, Oh, and one other thing is, don't shop for food on an empty stomach, okay? So yeah, learn 1 or 2 easy dishes to cook in bulk and store in the freezer. That's good as well. Compare prices of basic products at different supermarkets before you buy. Well, what about transport, you will say? Whether it's your commute to class or heading back home for the holidays, you just have to include travel costs in your budget, okay? Because it does cost a lot of money, especially buses, underground, metro. These costs vary, okay? But if you're a student, student travel cards and deals reduce costs, so check what transport companies offer you where you're studying and book in advance for additional savings, okay? So for example, that could be a rail card, a student rail card, other things. Just again, don't overspend just because you have the credit line, okay? Yeah, so I'm just gonna share the thing, the post. 1 second, yeah, there you go. The hay fever is starting up, yeah. Let's just see. Okay. If we have any questions, let's try to address it, please. Yeah. And let me just quickly. Right. Okay. So if we have some any active questions right now, welcome, and just put it in the comments while I battle my hay fever. It's coming up now. Yeah. Every March you can say from March I get the hay fever. Yeah. So anyway, so entertainment, that's another thing, especially if you're a student, but in general as well. Freshers Week, yes, the student nights, when it all opens up again, sports clubs, socials, gigs, fancy dress, coffees, lunches. The cost of socializing can quickly add up. Yes, it does. But being sociable doesn't have to be expensive. Consider taking part in free events at your union, 2-for-1 cinema nights, game nights in with housemates. And so, welcome everyone. We're just discussing about universities, but you can ask about any financial questions. Okay. And so the course materials, the study books, photocopying, printing. While these can look small, they soon add up over time. And I should know, I've had so much money on them. It's like a prepaid. Well, it was like a prepaid, you could say, card for universities or colleges, But yeah, it soon adds up. Printing in black and white and on both sides to reduce printing costs is a good idea. Okay, buy a second-hand book. Look for union fairs with students selling their old textbooks, but remember to not cheat from results. If you have to hand regular coursework, it might be worth buying a printer, but look for one with cheap ink cartridges. So if you need help with that, don't hesitate to get free advice with using the debt advisors. Just make sure that the debt advisor is actually free. Okay. All right. So that is really, for many students, it can cause stress and anxiety and sleepless nights. Most universities and colleges will have a student money advisor. Okay. I think it's a candle. Look at this candle burn. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's why I had the candle burning. That's why my eyes were going watery. Okay. Just gonna. Okay. Right. I'm back. So most most universities will have and colleges will have student advisor, money advisor, or support services available to help you develop budgeting techniques and inform you of any financial help options available to you as a student, such as a hardship loan. Again, a loan is a credit line. Do not think it's free. Nothing is free, as you know. Okay. So they can suggest ways of coping with debt, even if you think you have no spare cash. And so if we have other questions, while we wait for other questions, I'll read another email that came through. So I mean, it may sound simple, but what is an apprenticeship? Okay. An apprenticeship is open to anyone over the age of 16 not enrolled in full-time education. Is available in over 170 industries, including aerospace, finance, and fashion. Takes from 1 to 5 years to complete, depending on age, skills, and sector. Okay. Combines practical on-the-job training with study, and you might work. And you might work towards a qualification. That's the hope, of course. Apprenticeships have equivalent education levels in England. For example, intermediary is level 2, which is equivalent in education level to GCSE, yeah, and which is intermediate, okay. And advanced is level 3, and is equivalent to A level. The higher is 4, 5, 6, and 7 level, yeah, and it's equivalent to foundation degree and above. Degree is level 6 and 7, and that's a bachelor's or master's degree. So you might ask, what will I learn? So, as you know, every apprentice follows an approved program of study designed for the job they're training for. Your employer will decide the structure of your training. However, your apprenticeships generally combine a detailed training plan, okay, regular progress reviews, practical training on the job, theoretical study at a college, assessing, testing at a training center. So it's mentoring as well, and support through apprenticeships. By the end of the course, you gain the qualifications, skills, and experience required by the potential employers within this set field that you've chosen. Okay. Now, another question you may have: how many hours would I work a week? Okay. So apprenticeship should work for that's a minimum of 30 hours a week, and a maximum of 40 hours per week. Time spent off the job at the college or in training is included. Part-time apprenticeships can be agreed by your employer at a minimum of 16 hours per week. For example, where apprenticeships have caring responsibilities. Now, the big issue, and it's a very good question for this live show that we have, is wages for the apprenticeships. How much will I earn? Okay, so one of the main benefits of doing an apprenticeship is that you earn a wage while you work and study. Okay, an apprenticeship salary depends on various factors. Number one, type of apprenticeship you apply for. Number two, your age, experience, and existing qualifications. Number three, the sector you're working in, for example, engineering, retail, or finance. So again, what about the minimum wage? Okay, because that would be different, okay, depending on your age as well. So minimum wage for all young people enrolled on apprenticeship in the UK. I'm talking about the UK now, okay? So how much you receive depends on your age and how long you've been doing an apprenticeship, okay? If you age 16 to 18 or in your first year and are aged over 19, you'll earn at least £4.15 per hour at the time of this show recording. If you completed your first year and are aged over 19, you'll earn at least the national minimum average, okay? Some employers have chosen to pay more than the national minimum average. As an apprentice, you might have to pay tax and national insurance contributions on your earnings. You are entitled to a payslip which will show you how much you earn and what deductions have been made. So, what about the future? How will your future look? Okay, research shows actually in your earnings increase, and your earnings do increase in line with your current level of academic qualifications. Higher apprentices could earn as much as £150,000 or more on average over their lifetime compared to those with level 3 vocational qualifications. On average, achieving a level 2 or 3 level apprenticeships boosts earnings by 11 to 16% respectively. Okay, although there's a variation by subject, most subjects deliver a return of around 10%. Nearly 9 out of 10, that is 89%, apprenticeships or the apprentices were satisfied with their apprenticeship overall, and 97% of apprentices said their salary, said their ability to do a job has improved and then they like the salary as well. So now, because we're under this situation of the coronavirus, whether it's fake or not, that's not the debate, but you know my stance on that. Apprenticeships during the coronavirus outbreak, and as an apprentice, you may be entitled. You are entitled to the same support as an employee. If you were put on unpaid leave on or before 28 February 2020, you can be furloughed on 80% of your salary. You cannot work while you're furloughed, but you can continue your training. Okay? If you've been asked to take a period of unpaid leave, for example, it's not possible for you to work from home, or social distancing means your apprenticeship is not possible at the moment, you can take a break in learning, as it's called, and resume at a later date. Now, you may ask me, what is the benefit of being an apprentice? Apprentices work more than 33 hours a week, are entitled to same benefits as everyone else in the workplace. These include, but are not limited to, sick pay entitlement, at least 20 days paid holiday a year, statutory maternity, paternity pay, and maternity paternity leave. You might also be entitled to claim universal credit and elements to cover other costs, such as housing or bringing up children. So thank you for your questions today, and I hope you will enjoy the future episodes that we will be making soon. And thank you to the general sponsor. It's airbank.co.uk and sos.gold. Please email your questions or just wait for the next show. Spread the word. Thank you very much.